The film starts off really heavy. Two innocent sisters, Spider and her little sister, are crying over their mom's dead body. Their mom passed away the night before from a drug overdose. With broken hearts, they quietly lift her up and stash her in an old trunk in a nearby shed. Spider's little sister, through tears, says one last, "I love you," to their mom, then pulls out her last keepsake, a lobster, and holds on to it. Spider, the older sister, is torn up and scared that if anyone outside finds out their mom has died, the authorities will take them apart and they'll never be together again. But Spider, not willing to lose her little sister, decides to act like their mom is still alive. The next morning, the two sisters head off to school like normal. The little sister is wearing their mom's locket, so Spider tells her to take it off and leave it at home. Even after they get to school, she reminds her not to tell anyone about their mom's death. Later, to calm herself down, she tells her best friend about her mom's death, but makes her promise not to tell anyone, saying she can't afford to lose her little sister too. Her friend feels really bad and wants to help and support her. But the very next evening, something her little sister does scares her. The sister comes home from school with a friend and their grandma. Spider, worried, snaps at her and warns her not to bring anyone home, or even close to the house, because people might find out their secret. But beyond the fear of people finding out, another problem pops up. Their food's running low and their mom's paycheck isn't coming for another 6 days. So the two of them decide to tough it out by eating less for the next 6 days. But then, out of nowhere, their mom's friend Ray shows up. To avoid him, Spider lies and says their mom left with another woman about an hour ago. Still, Ray doesn't buy it. But for now, he just says, "Make sure you call me when your mom gets back." With that, he leaves. Panicking, his sister keeps insisting Ray might come back. Spider yells at her in anger, making her sit down next to their mom's body and start crying. Spider then comes over, hugs her, and tells her that Ray's just a drug addict. He says if his mom doesn't want him, he'll just go to someone else. To cheer his sister up, Spider takes her shopping as soon as she has some money. They buy tons of food, have a blast, and sit outside eating. It's been a long time since they had something this good. But then a shop worker comes out and starts snapping pics of them. Spider yells at him and walks over. She tries to erase the photos from his camera, but it's not digital, so she can't. When they get home, Spider tells her sister they're getting $600 a month from the government, $200 each. That's because no one knows their mom's dead yet. Later, the two sisters fall asleep, talking about their mom and remembering her. But the next morning, things get tense. Suddenly, their mom gets a call from Child Services saying they'll be coming over to check on them. Both sisters freak out. Spider's sister says, "If they find out the truth, we'll get split up." So they start cleaning their mom's room and find her old teaching certificate, showing she used to be a teacher before she got hooked on drugs. Spider decides to tell the officer that their mom went to a job interview at a bank. But then the sister remembers their mom's car is still parked outside, which might make the cop suspicious. So the two sisters team up to hide it. Spider doesn't even know how to drive, but somehow she gets the car started and parks it out of sight. Then, when the cop shows up at the house the next day, they both say their mom's out at a job interview and tell her she's gone to the bank. She's trying to act like a responsible, caring mom. The officer carefully searches the whole house, even the fridge and their mom's room. After making sure everything's fine, he leaves, telling them to call when their mom gets back. Both of them let out a big sigh of relief for now, but she knows the officer will be back in a few days. So the next day, Spider decides to run away and heads to the bus station to check ticket prices. But the clerk, seeing she's only 15, warns her not to be out alone. Taking the advice to heart, she leaves and goes back to the store to grab some essentials. While there, she runs into the cameraman who works there again. He shows her the photo he took that day and says he often takes pictures, inviting Spider to come along sometime so the three of them can shoot photos together. But Spider declines and heads home. Back at home, her sister is still holding their mom's locket, thinking about her. She asks Spider, "Why are you so mad at Mom?" Spider just answers, She'd made some bad choices in her life. A little later, her sister spots the photo the worker took and teases Spider, asking if he likes her. Spider says he actually offered to go with her to take the pictures. Hearing that, her sister insists she should go with him. Spider agrees. The next day, the worker shows up to pick Spider up on an old bike, and they head off into a remote forest. Spider jokes, "You a killer or something?" The worker just smiles, and they walk into the woods. The worker shows her how to use the camera and take pictures. When they get back, he takes Spider to his darkroom to print the photos. That's when Spider finds out about one of his clients who makes fake certificates because he used to work in document processing. Later, at Spider's request, the worker drops her off close to her home and gives her a small digital camera to keep for a few days. When she gets home, Spider and her sister are thrilled. Slowly, they start to move on from their mother's sadness and begin to finding little moments of joy and leaning on each other. But their happiness is short-lived. One day, while she's chilling in a cafe, Ray shows up pissed off, asking about their mom who hasn't been in touch. He threatens Spider, saying if their mom doesn't want to see him, she should at least pay him back the $300 by Friday. Both sisters freak out since they barely have enough cash for themselves. Panicking, Spider heads to a store the next day and sells the digital camera the worker gave her. But she only gets $50. So, to cover the rest, she pawns her mom's necklace and goes to Ray's van that night to give him the money and beg him to stop following her. But Ray starts mocking Spider, saying nasty things about her mom. He goes, "Your mom's a junkie. She's always wasted. If she were sane, she'd never send you here by yourself." Hearing that, Spider breaks down and runs crying into the shed. Furious, she keeps kicking the trunk with her mom's body inside, shouting, "I hate you for even being friends with someone as awful as Ray." When she got home, her sister, scared, hugged her tight and asked, "Is Ray going to leave us alone now?" Spider whispered, "Yeah." But deep down, she knew that if Ray found out their mom had died, it would tear them apart. The next day, she started looking up adoption online. She found out that an 18-year-old sibling could adopt younger brothers or sisters, but she was only 15. That night, her sister, I asked her about their mom's locket. Worried she'd be crushed, Spider didn't tell her she'd pawned the necklace. Right then, her mom got a call from Spider's friend's dad, who's the sheriff, and also a friend of her mom. He left a voice message asking her to call back, which made Spider even more nervous. The next day, she met with the client, the document guy, and showed him her fake papers. She asked for a driver's license, a birth certificate, and stuff like that to get it done. She looks like she's 18, but she can't afford the officer's crazy high fees. Spider convinces her to get the papers, saying, "I really need them." When she gets home, she tells her friend her plan. "I'm gonna take my sister and go somewhere no one knows us. I'll use a fake ID to pretend I'm 18 and adopt my sister. But for now, I won't tell her anything." Her friend is shocked, but still supports her. The next day, Spider goes to the store and buys back the worker's camera. She gives it back and tells him to leave, saying, I don't have time to hang out with him anymore. But the worker convinces her to spend time with him again, and she agrees. They take some photos together, and she slowly starts to like him. Later, while she's at home with her sister, a child services officer shows up out of nowhere. The two sisters freak out and hide in the shed where their mom's body was found. But the officer comes in and starts looking around, calls their mom's phone, and leaves a warning voicemail saying that if she doesn't call back by tonight, she'll call the sheriff. Panicking, Spider rushes to the officer's house to get fake IDs, but he's not home, and the IDs aren't ready. Spider doesn't know what to do. His sister asks about their mom's locket again. Spider tells her the truth. "I sold the necklace." Hearing that, his sister is crushed. She says, "That locket meant everything to Mom, and you sold it." Spider starts to explain that their mom, Spider, angrily said she loved drugs and was a bad woman. His sister refused to believe it. Spider reminded her how their mother treated them badly, and how when she was little, their mom left her alone on the porch. Spider heard her crying and saved her. He also told her that her asthma was because of their mother's mistake. While pregnant, she took a lot of harmful drugs that weakened her lungs before she was even born. Hearing this, his sister broke down crying, saying it couldn't be true, then ran out of the house. Gasping for air, she collapses from an asthma attack. Spider rushes after her outside. She suddenly remembers she forgot to refill her inhaler. Panicked, she calls 911, but the ambulance will take a while. Thinking fast, she puts her sister in the car and drives to the hospital. The doctors admit her right away and start treatment. But the doctor won't tell her anything, saying only an elder can be updated on her sister's condition. Now, even if she wanted to, she can't call her mom. So she just sits there, feeling helpless and sad. Just then, her friend's dad, the sheriff, shows up and checks with the doctor. Her sister's okay. She bursts into tears, blaming herself because she forgot to refill the inhaler. The sheriff tells her she's her sister and this is on their mom. He asks about their mom, but Spider can't say a word. She just quietly begs, "Please don't split us up." Right then, her sister gets discharged and the sheriff takes them home. The wife finds out their mom's been missing for weeks and tells her husband the two sisters should stay with her until they find a good family. Then, they'll put them up for adoption. But the sheriff says it's not that simple. There are already over 70 kids in town waiting for families. And if these two sisters get added, it'll be impossible for them to stay together. The next morning, the sheriff drops Spider and her sister off at school. Spider's desperate to get away, so her friend, he shoves some money at her to help out. Spider then scores fake IDs from the officer and heads back home. Her sister, shocked, hurriedly starts packing. "Where are we going?" she asks. Spider says, "We have to get out of here." But her sister starts to resist. She doesn't want to leave her friends and mom behind like this. Spider explains that if she doesn't run, they'll end up separated. In frustration, she even slaps her. Suddenly, Ray bursts into the house, pins Spider against the wall. Then he says, "Your mom's dead, right? And you're holding on to her $200? You've been hiding it from everyone. If you want me to keep quiet and go along with this, you'll have to give me $200 every month for her." But he's getting creepier and creepier. So before things get worse, the two sisters team up and Spider knocks him out with a baseball bat. Her sister then, sadly, says to Spider, "I don't want to leave." Spider gets how she feels. Then, sitting together, they sing an old song about their mom and finally decide to tell the police everything. Not long after, their mom's body is taken away and the sheriff sits down next to them. Spider asks quietly, Did I do something wrong? The sheriff replies gently, "Whatever you did, it was to keep your sister safe," and promises he'll never split them up. Then, at their mom's funeral, both sisters, heavy-hearted and somber, lay flowers on her coffin, and the sheriff's family welcomes them like their own. They adopted them, so they'd never have to be apart. Not long after, a worker comes to visit Spider. Seeing her locket, the one she'd bought back, Spider thinks of her mom and regrets all the bad thoughts she had about her. When she opens the locket and sees the childhood photos of both sisters inside, Spider puts it around her neck and promises to always take care of her little sister and never leave her side. And with that, the story ends.